Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to the United Stand. Can Manchester United get into a title race? Who should be player of the month? What's going to happen in PSG? Is it Cavani or is it Martial? What's our best midfield? And lots more. It's the Sunday night on the Monday Night Show. I've got Kev, Ricky and Beth. How are we all doing?
Very well, thanks. Very well.
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Of course, we've got everyone else in the live comments as well to tune in. So get involved, everybody. But we're going to start off with a question that is posed by many of you and may get laughed out by many of you. But we are currently, if we win our game in hand against Burnley and their shit, 2 points off the top of the league. We've got West Ham, we've got City, we've got Sheffield United and Leeds before Christmas. And if you are technically 2 or 3 points off the top of the league at Christmas, then surely you're in a title race. We'll start off with you, Kev, because obviously the two did their fan cams yesterday. I've not heard you for a week. Can United get into a title race this season? And if not, why not?
What a great question. I wouldn't want to get too carried away. But again, you have to look at where we are in the league at the minute. We keep talking about this game in hand in Burnley, which is not a given that we will actually beat them. But when you do look at it in perspective, if United do pick up them points against Burnley, we're a couple of points off the top of the league. We're above Man City at the minute. I said this the other week. If you'd have said after 9-10 games, we're going to be above Man City, you would have thought we'd either be top or second in the league. So we can dream. I don't want to get too, bogged down with a title charge, but it's a very, very strange season. And if we can be in there after Christmas, there is no reason why we can't give it a good goal this season.
I suppose when you look at it, I mean, Liverpool and City, we'll find out what we can do against City in a couple of weeks. But when you look at Spurs and Chelsea yesterday, and we know United have got their problems, but do you see a massive difference if people are going to say, and I think Chelsea and Spurs, well, certainly Chelsea, maybe Spurs, if they come through the next two games, I think they've got Arsenal, Liverpool and Palace, they're going to be about. Is there a lot of difference between Chelsea, Spurs and United? Should we be a little bit more confident if we can, keep this run going?
Yeah, we just need to be confident. If anything, I mean, hearing that statistic today that United have won, is it the last 8 games away from home?
Yeah.
Again, we've spoke about it on here. United's problems this season have weirdly been playing at Old Trafford. We could play away every week. We'd be fine. It's a very strange season. And again, I'm just going to say that same point. If we're still in and around the top, if we're 2-3 points off top of the league after the busy Christmas period, we are bang in there. And we've got just as much right as anybody else. Tottenham have never won a Premier League. If anything, we should be looking at them and thinking we've got more experience in our team. We've got more players that have won trophies than Tottenham. So why not?
Why not, indeed. Beth, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, obviously, we're very happy with the result yesterday. It showed character. We've won our last 3 Premier League games. It is the year 2020, as Joseph just said there. It won't be the year 2020 when the title was won. It'll be 2021. But, I mean, what is it we're missing to make you think we can win a title, or do you think we can?
I mean, it's a hard one, isn't it? Because if you look at it at the start of the league compared to now, we've already come on a lot. And the thing is with United, that game that we against Southampton, this time last season, we would have lost that game, like no doubts about it. Like we would have done. But the character that we showed to come back from that is a good sign that we're starting to get that character that we can come back and win games like that, because them results are absolutely crucial. If you're looking at doing a title charge, like the way Liverpool were winning games last season, they weren't like that. They were obviously a great team, but they won some games that some people think maybe they shouldn't have won, but they managed to scrape over the line. And that's kind of what we were doing yesterday. And the thing is, everyone's talking about Chelsea and obviously Tottenham, but if we do win our game in hand, are we level with Chelsea? I think we are. So why are we out of the picture with the talent that we've got? And I think Ollie's turned it around big time, and he deserves credit for that in a way. But what we do need to do is keep on this run and keep with consistency. I'm not getting carried away because this has happened before. But if we beat PSG and then we go on to beat West Ham and get a result off City, even if you do just get a point there, you do start to think maybe we can go on and start properly challenging. But it's still early on, and I do think Spurs do look really good this season. And I think with the squad depth that Chelsea have, they actually do look good as well. They're starting to gel together more now. But I don't think we're ruled out. I think we've got just as good a chance as them.
Yeah, the last time we won at Southampton from behind, I think, was 3-2 in the year 2012 or 2013, and it was Van Persie hat-trick. And we went on to win the league that year, Ricky. Is there any chance in your mind that we could repeat that success this year? Or do you think that, consistency, or a bad result is just around the corner again?
Pretty much like Kev said, I don't want to get too carried away, but what's gone 10 games in the league, 9 games for us, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
To be, I know we've got a game in hand, but we're 5 points behind, aren't we? We do need to stay at least that close to everybody at the top until that game gets played to have any chance. I do believe we've got a team there. A lot of people every result's important, but a lot of people seem to think it's your results against the bigger teams. I think it's being able to beat everybody outside that big six, because there's a lot of points to be played for. A lot of silly points get dropped. No matter how good you are, or no matter how strong a team you pick in the big games, the big teams can beat each other. We've done that recently. Other teams have beaten us. We got a point off Liverpool when they were beating everybody. I think they only dropped 2 points in about the first 20 games or something.
Yeah.
So the big teams can take points off each other. We've, just like Liverpool were doing, we've got to beat all the small teams. No disrespect, and I shouldn't call them small teams. We've got West Ham next week. They're not a small team, but they're not one of the big six. It's a game where we've got to win. This is what Liverpool were doing last year. We've got to go to these places and win. A draw's no good. We've got to go and win. I've watched West Ham recently. I was watching Southampton as well 2 or 3 times. Southampton, I've got to give credit to our players. Southampton didn't look anything like the team that I've seen in the last few weeks when I've seen them, or the last month or so when I've seen them.
No, they were poor, weren't they? Yeah.
And I don't know how much that is down to them just having an off day, or whether it's credit to our boys making them look ordinary. I really don't know. But hopefully the same thing can happen at West Ham. Hopefully they don't look. I don't mean just decent. They've looked really good when I've seen them recently, West Ham. But it's a place where we need to go and win. And if Ollie gets his team right, I think they can win. And just keep ticking them games off. If they can win. I know we've got City in the next 5 or 6, but if we beat all the small teams and maybe get the odd point off the big teams, we'll be right up there. And I don't see why it can't happen.
Yeah, I think that in relation to West Ham, I think if you win that one, you've won 4 Premier League games in a row. It sort of rights the wrong of the bad start to the season. And then you go into the Man City game and it sort of gives you that opportunity that if you get a result there, you can sort of say, well, look, let's see what we can do. But look, I know I did say I would mention this to you, Ricky. I'm trying to keep a straight face. I know you're a big fan of Bruno, so I just wanted to give you a few stats. Since he's joined the Premier League, he's got more goals and assists than anyone in the Premier League. Yesterday, he also equalled a record 5 away games scoring. Only Zlatan, Van Nistelrooy and Van Persie have done that. They're all strikers. And he's in the top 5 in the league for shot accuracy when he gets a chance. He must be over the moon.
Absolutely unbelievable. What a player.
I told you we'd get him on the Bruno team. But we'll talk about the midfield in a bit. But what I do want to talk about, Kev, I want to talk about Cavani. Look, there's all this stuff going on about whether he's going to get a ban. I think we leave that to what the FA decide, and maybe he won't get one. But there's no doubt in anybody's mind that yesterday, if he didn't come onto the pitch, and as Dylan Taylor's saying there, his movement and goalness will help us against the deep block. He was fantastic yesterday. I don't think either of his goals were goals that I think Greenwood or Rashford or Martial would score. I'd agree with Ollie on that one. What do you feel about Cavani? Because obviously, I've said it before, he's got quite an extensive injury record. I don't think he can play 3 games a week. But having said that, when you see what he did yesterday, you want him on the pitch as much as possible. And what do you think that means for Anthony Martial now, who was Player of the Year last year? I suppose in many ways, what are you thinking about Cavani? What are you thinking about how much we play him? And does he put Martial on the bench now?
For me, and a lot of United fans, it was plain to see yesterday, Cavani absolutely changed that game. And we spoke in the show last week, I think it was Flex that was presenting, asked a similar kind of question, but we were looking Cavani, long-term, where we see him at Manchester United. And I said last week, I see Cavani as Man United's number 9. They haven't brought him in to sit on the bench. And what that does for Martial, for me, it moves him out onto the left. And I think that's Martial's best position. I think up top as a number 9, he gets a bit lost. But Cavani, for a couple of years to come into Man United, I think only players like Rashford, Greenwood and Martial himself will be learning from somebody who's done the business. His movement yesterday, I mean, you forget we've not had a great number 9 for, yes, we had Zlatan. Even Henrik Larsson, to an extent, come in and did a job at Manchester United. But to have a real top one like Cavani yesterday, it just shows you what we have missed through the last few years, because even he was unselfish the way in the lead up to Fernandes' goal that got us back in it. He dragged out, out wide. Every run he made was very sensible. It doesn't necessarily, he's not selfish, but to drag defenders out left and right so the midfielders could come storming through, he just opened up everything yesterday. And like you said, you're absolutely bang on, because Rashford, Greenwood would not score the goals that he scored yesterday. They were proper strikers' goal. That's being in the right place at the right time. It's pure instinct.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that, I just don't think we win. I don't think we even get a draw out of that game without him. He was, that's the best. That's the best thing I could say about him. Where do you sit on this, Beth? I mean, a lot of it's sort of indicative of our fan base. Really, they have to have favourites, don't they? And it's Cavani now, and sell Martial, put Martial on the bench, put him on the left wing. Is it that simple for you, or are you thinking maybe they share the role? Cavani can't play every week. What's your feeling on this? Because he was sensational yesterday. No one's going to say that wasn't the case.
Yeah, obviously, I'm a big Anthony Martial fan, to be honest. But when Cavani did play yesterday, I've liked him when he's been playing for us in before. But yesterday, I really started to look at him and think, wow, like he can be our number 9 if he can stay fit, due to the runs he makes, and he does that hold up play as well really well. He gets back and defends, and he creates space with his movement. I think Harry Maguire said in his post-match interview that in training, it's the best movement-wise centre forward he's ever had to defend against. I mean, that just says something in a way. I think he's got the experience that we need to take it up to another level. Our strikers are all very young strikers. So, I mean, it doesn't push Martial out the side. I think on the left, he's probably our best left winger. Like the way he runs it, players and cuts in. I think he's great, and I think he does have to play for us. But obviously, Cavani's not going to play every minute because of his age, and he might get injured. So Ollie's going to have to save him for crucial points. It's a very long season. There's 3 games a week. There's room for both Martial, Rashford and Cavani in this team. And having Cavani there doesn't put anybody out. It just gives us better talent and more consistency in that area, instead of having people that are going to have to come in who are a drop-off. Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting. I mean, look, Ricky, again, you're a big fan of Martial. Does he drop to the left wing for you? Are you still, I agree with what a lot of you say. I've said it myself a few times. I saw Cavani against Istanbul on Tuesday last week, and everyone was like, what a great game he had. He didn't score a goal. Martial plays like that, and it's like, didn't score a goal, he's a load of shit. So I think that there is that unfairness against Martial. But yesterday, Cavani did he's got 3 goals in the Premier League. He looks like he's going to score every chance, which PSG fans will tell you he actually does miss. He can miss, but he's been brilliant since he's come into the club. What would you like to see happening with that number 9 slot? Are you happy for Martial to go to the left wing, or have you got other ideas?
I'm absolutely fine with that. I think Martial's fantastic on the left wing. I'd have no problem with Cavani starting as often as possible. I don't know how fit Cavani's going to be to play or to start every game. And before Cavani was with us, Martial was hands down the best number 9 we've got. Mm-hmm. So it's nice for the player to be able to settle down, but it's also nice for the player to be able to play in 2 different positions. So I think if Martial gets shoved out to the left a lot because Cavani's playing, whenever Cavani needs a rest, it's still got to be Martial that comes to number 9. And then somebody else would have to come in on the left, whether it be Rashford or whatever. So there's still loads of game time for Anthony Martial. I've got no doubt about it. He'll play at number 9 if he do, on any occasion where he doesn't want to play Cavani. And then when Cavani is playing at 9, for me, I'd have Martial on the left. He's as good a left hand side, attacking player as there is for me. Anthony Martial, I think he's fantastic.
Well, there's a lot of our fans and there's a lot of people in the comments who believe that Martial is best suited to the left. I think it's common knowledge that he wants to play down the middle, and what a player wants obviously impacts a bit on how they play. But, I don't really care if Cavani's the number 9. If Cavani can play every week and play like he did yesterday, then, yeah, of course you're going to pick him because he offers something very, very different. And he can score goals that none of our strikers can, like Kev was saying there. So I'm just totally and utterly convinced, because I know in the last 18 months he's had about 4 or 5 muscle injuries, that especially this season of all seasons, if we play him every game and he pulls an hamstring, that's him out till New Year. So we've got to wrap him up in bubble wrap, really. But if we can do that, that's great. Just quickly, Ricky, before we move around, Rashford and Greenwood yesterday, we were talking before we came on live, and basically all 4 of us said if we don't make that substitution at half time, we don't win that game. And fair play to Ollie for making it at half time, because, in the past he hasn't done those things. What did you think? Some people say that Rashford just can't play down the middle. He's not very good with his back to goal, and then obviously Greenwood's had a difficult time. What did you think about them two yesterday? Did you think they struggled in the system, just bad games, going through a bit of a bad patch? They didn't really cause Southampton the problems that Cavani did, and yet they've got the added advantage of certainly speed and agility over Cavani, but he obviously finds that in intelligent running and movement.
Yeah, I thought they both struggled, Greenwood and Rashford. They wouldn't be my first choice strikers or wingers. I think Greenwood's been getting games. Look, I've not seen much of Greenwood as a centre forward. I think it's probably his best position. But when he plays on the right wing, he's not really a right winger. He cuts in to try and get shots in. I think I mentioned this to Flex. Look at Cavani when he was on the right. As soon as he gets the ball, he looks up, he sees Bruno in the middle, passes it to him. I'm not saying Greenwood would never do that, but you do often see Greenwood get the ball on the touchline. And even when he's that far out, it happened against Basaksa here, didn't it, the other night? He got the ball, he was almost on the touchline, but he's still thinking about trying to get a shot in. He's not thinking about trying to get a cross in. And on one occasion, he tried to get a shot in. There was too many defenders in front of him, and I saw Cavani and Martial in the box like that. What's going on? So he's got a lot to learn. I think a lot to learn. So I think Cavani's a top player. I think Martial's a top player, and those two players have got to play as much as possible. And I know I agree with you. Cavani could get injured. Well, anybody can get injured, but obviously he's a bit older. He's 33. We do need to wrap him up in cotton wool. I was just speaking about playing against, and always it's important to pick the points up against all the other teams outside the big 6. Not more important, but it's equally important. You've got to win those games. I think Cavani's got to start in those games, and hopefully, I want to see us being able to put some of these teams to bed rather than struggling and scoring late. I'd like us to start with Martial, start with Cavani. Whatever he thinks his best team is, start with it. Let's try and sometimes be 3 up at half time and take him off. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. That's what I'd like to see happen.
You're right, because we did win yesterday, Kevin. We exerted a lot of energy in that game, considering we played midweek and Southampton didn't, with 2-0 down, and they had to play to literally the last minute, which I think was even more impressive because a lot of these lads are playing 3 games a week and did in the international break. So very impressive there. In relation to the midfield, what we've seen Donny van de Beek play with Bruno, which I think is a big tick for everybody because we felt that could happen, and Ollie didn't do that for a while. He's doing it now. Fred's obviously in there. McTominay and Pogba will be back this week, we think. And Matic obviously played yesterday. He started with the diamond, and then in the second half, he obviously changed that with Cavani sort of going more to the right, Bruno sort of false nining it, Rashford a bit to the left, and got a bit more width in the team, which we didn't have in the first half. What do you think about? I mean, we spoke about the striking situation there. Obviously, McTominay's going to be back. McFred, as Beth says. Do you think you go back to that, and then you play McFred and then Bruno ahead of that, and then you put Van de Beek on the bench with Pogba, or do you build a midfield around Van de Beek and Fred like we did against Istanbul, or does that not shield the defence or have the defensive responsibilities? What are you thinking about the midfield now that we've pretty much seen every player, albeit we've not really seen a good Paul Pogba yet? He obviously could get into the equation.
Well, looking at the match yesterday, I think when the team news come out, I was very happy. Thought it was an attacking lineup, and we've been banging on for weeks on here, man, saying about Donny van de Beek. What's going on? Why is he not starting? He's played the last couple of games The game midweek in the Champions League, the one-touch passing that he was producing was just, it was an absolute joy to watch. I mean, I don't want to put him, I shouldn't really mention him in the same breath as Paul Scholes, but if I look back, that was the kind of football that he was playing. He was literally, he knew where, before he'd even received a pass, he knew where it was going before he'd even took control of the ball. It was just brilliant to see. Opens up defences. Yesterday, it was, you know, I thought he had a really good game as well. And I think the way that Solskjaer is going to have to manage this now, it's going to be different systems for different games. It's a way, you know, a lot of different clubs operate. You know, if we're looking at being attacking, would he go in with Matic as holding midfielder? McTominay, when he comes back in, plays really well with Fred. Pogba's still got to come back in. I think once he's fully fit, of course he's going to have a big say. But again, there's going to be somebody that's disappointed. But it's up to these players now, really, to come in and just give 100%. If you're playing well, you'll be in on merit. It's exactly how it should be at the minute. And that's why I'm glad he played Van der Beek yesterday. And the big thing about Solskjaer yesterday is a lot of people, I'm sure, at halftime would have been logging onto Twitter or whatever saying, bring in Poch now and this and that. One of my criticisms of Solskjaer has been his inability to change things very quickly. You know, a few months ago, he would have given it 10 minutes into the second half. It would have gone then. It might have passed. We never got back into that game. But he made that decision yesterday, which was vital, and he turned the game around. So, like you said about Solskjaer, in-game management yesterday, thought he got it spot on for somebody who apparently is, you know what I mean, a PE teacher who does FIFA and custom tactics and all this.
It's true. I mean, I said it at halftime yesterday, and so it came to pass. I'll put my hands up and say I have done it before. We've been losing 2-0 at halftime, and I've said, get Mourinho out. He's a load of shit. And that was at the Etihad. And I was like, sack him now. And then we came out. Paul Pogba probably played his best 45 minutes, and we won 3-2. And you look a right tit then. So I was just like, at halftime, everyone's going Ollie out. And I'm like, just hang on. You know, it can change. No. And it did. But just on that, Kev, before I go to Beth, I mean, look, I don't know where you stand on this, but I said it yesterday. To be honest with you, if he picks McFred against PSG or he plays Matic and he doesn't play Van der Beek, I'm not massively bothered as long as we don't go back to the first 6 weeks where he never played Van der Beek. For me, I get that the midfield is the hardest place to play. It's energetic. We're playing 3 games a week. I don't, you know, my ideal midfield would probably be Van der Beek, Fred, Bruno, at the moment, but I know he can't play that 3 games a week. There's a lot of games to come, and people like McTominay and Matic and Pogba, and all 6 of them are going to be really important with all these games. Really important. There's going to be so many games coming up now. Look at the injuries that teams are getting. You know, the likes of Liverpool, Leicester have got massive injuries, and there's science behind it. It's because they're playing so many games. They've not had a proper pre-season. They've come into this season. You know, they've rushed them back for our pleasure so we can all watch them, and so that the broadcasters can make all the money. You know, we all wanted to see it come back, but we knew that this was going to happen this season. Muscular injuries and everything are up there because these players, they're just being pushed to the absolute limit at the minute. So this is where Solskjaer really has to look at it and use his squad and plan ahead. Look, game for game, do I need to use him? No, I'll give him a rest. You know, don't let the likes of Fernandes burn out. Fernandes is absolutely vital to this team at the minute, and he was a massive part yesterday of getting that result. Going around that field, barking orders out. You know, he got us back in with that goal. He's just, a lot of people slag Fernandes off and say, oh, all he's good for is scoring penalties, you know, and all this. The goal midweek, absolutely class. You know, yesterday, same thing. He's just driving Manchester United on that team at the minute. He should have the captain's armband for me because he just drives us on. Apparently you look a bit like Tellez. I don't know about that, but we could call you Kevez. Kevez. I'll take that one. Beth, so a lot of people in the live comments saying, you know, Van der Beek is undroppable now. If you're going into, you've got everyone fit at this moment in time, what is your midfield? What you know, I know, and Kev's right there, you know, we're going to have to use the squad game by game. And I think when everyone's playing well, I pretty much trust all of them, to be honest, if they're playing well. But what would you construct as your best midfield at the moment, based on what we've seen and where we're heading? Well, do you know what? It does depend on the game, because obviously we know Solskjaer likes to change it depending on the opposition. And I think he does like the diamond formation for when we're playing a team with a high press.
He did it against Leipzig and he did it against Southampton, who were both high pressing teams. And Donny van der Beek, it's weird because he wasn't Ollie's like first starter in the midfield, but the chances he's got, he's absolutely taken them. And I think he was absolutely class yesterday, and he's been class most times he's played for us. His one-touch passes, he comes out to either side of the pitch, and he helps the fullbacks a lot with his one-touch passes and create space for them to run into. A lot of the time, we're really struggling to get it through our midfield, but he's helped us so much. I feel like him and Fred do complement each other very well in the fact that they're both very quick. They pick up spaces. Fred has been excellent for us. I think we've only lost one game this season where he's played. I mean, that just shows he gets a lot of stick, but his energy, especially in the second half yesterday, was great. But the thing is, there's a lot of competition for places, but that's a good thing because it means people are playing to the best of their ability to get into the side. And we do need that quality off the bench. So for me, it's a very good problem to have. The only thing about Donny and Fred, though, is we did need Matic in there yesterday to like mop up the things that like just mop up the defensive work and pass the ball back out. I thought Matic did an okay job at that. I think he's obviously getting on a bit, so he's not going to be able to do it for the future. But with them two playing against a quality side like Southampton, you do need a Matic in there. So it is very hard because you're going to have to play Bruno. He's undroppable. And I feel like Fred's undroppable at the moment. And that means against other sides, Donny would have to drop out in that sense. But then again, there's 3 games a week and not all of them are going to play. He's going to switch formations. Sometimes he's going to play 3 forwards and sometimes he's going to play 2 forwards. So depending on what formation he's playing, depends on whether Donny plays or he goes with him at Fred pivot like he usually does.
Yeah, Ricky, I mean, you know, you've talked about balance throughout the season, which, you know, I think makes a lot of sense. I suppose the question would be now, you know, you've always said that you'd like to see that 2 midfield, whether it's Matic and McTominay or Matic and Fred, and then maybe Dan James and Mata either side of in a 4-4-2. Is that still the way you'd go, or have you seen a bit of development now with Van der Beek and Bruno and Fred that you know, Ollie seems to like the 4-2-3-1, which means a triangle of midfielders, however they play.
Yeah, the more you see of Van der Beek, you've got to think to yourself that there should be room in the team for him. He's been superb, I think, each time he's played. Not that I wasn't saying he should be in the team, even in that format, you know, that I'd pick him anyway. Or I think you do. I am a 4-4-2 fan, and it has worked against Southampton playing like that. It didn't work well against Arsenal, so there's, you know, obviously that's a tougher game. Having said it's a tougher game, Arsenal haven't done very well since that day, have they?
No, they've not won a game, have they?
Really typical.
I can't believe we give him that much respect in the fact we just sat back against him. We should have took the game to him. It's so.
If we've been that game in hand, we're 6 points ahead of them, and they beat us last month.
Oh, yeah, it's so annoying that we played like that against them, but it is what it is. You got to move on.
So obviously, it's, you know, everything's sort of pretty euphoric at the minute. We've won. What have we won? 4 games on the bounce, but you know, don't forget at Goodison, I think it was more like 4-4-2, wasn't it? Mata started on one side, and I think Rashford on the other. So it's not always the diamond, but it has worked all right in the last couple of games. I'm a 4-4-2 fan, and I would play 4-4-2, but I don't think, you know, to fit the players in, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen too often, is it?
No. So you'd still stick with your 4-4-2 with Mata. James.
I'm not picking. I haven't said the specific players, but I do like 4-4-2.
I think Van der Beek could play on the left or the right. I do.
Yeah, I don't think he could. He wouldn't let you down as a player. Like when Mata's not really a winger, he doesn't let you down. And I don't think Van der Beek could let you down. But he's not. Look, if you're going to play Cavani, I think Cavani, we've just spoke about people getting the ball in the box. If Greenwood plays, he's not really a winger, is it? Greenwood doesn't get balls into the box, not so often. And I know he did yesterday. Rashford's ball to Cavani yesterday, people are talking about it being a great cross. It's more of a pass than a cross. I think of a cross as when a player gets within sort of 10 yards of the dead ball line and puts it across for the player to attack it. That ball from Rashford was from a deeper position where you might expect a fullback to put the ball in. He's more of a.
Eden made it look better, didn't it?
That was a good cross. I mean, people saying that's a great cross. A great cross to me is a Beckham cross where literally you've just got to put your inside of your foot on it. It's in the back of the net. That's a great cross. I mean, that was a good cross by Rashford, but I think it was
a great ball into the box. But
not many people could do what Cavani did with that cross, and that's about all you could do with it.
So for me, I'd like, if Cavani's going to play, I'd like 2 wide players who are going to try and get balls into the box to him, basically.
We haven't really got, have we?
Well, Dan James plays like that. A lot of people don't like Dan James. I'm not saying he should be in the team. Anthony Martial can cross it, but he's also better on the left. He's also a player who likes to cut in and have shots. But I think Martial's a better player than the likes of. We play Rashford on the left sometimes, and obviously when Greenwood plays on the right, I think Martial. He might not get lots and lots of crosses into the box, but I do think he'd get lots of good passes. He looks for people's feet. He gets around the edge of the box and puts people in, or tries to give it just tries to pass it to feet in the box. And I think he's really, really good and cute, a cute player. So
he gets the byline a lot, doesn't he?
I would definitely have Cavani at number 9. And I'd definitely have Martial on the left.
And you got to get Bruno in. Where would you put him?
Well, he'd have to be number 10, wouldn't he? He'd have to be 10. I wouldn't put Bruno on the right. I've heard people say play Bruno on, like you said about Van der Beek. Look, they're both players who wouldn't really let you down if you asked them to play bloody right back or left back. I don't think they'd let you down.
Yeah.
But it's still not a natural game to them to play on the right and to try and be whipping balls in for Cavani to attack. And then obviously you've got to do your tracking back work. Let's not forget that. That's why you've sort of taken the mickey out of me a bit about Juan Mata and Dan James. They did come in and steady the ship. You know what I mean? Yeah. The way we played at Newcastle, bear in mind we'd lost our previous game 6-1. The idea there was let's make ourselves difficult to beat to start with, which is what he did, and it worked. And I know the subs come on and got all the goals, but if we'd have played against Newcastle like we played against Palace or Tottenham, we probably would have been 3-0 down by the time the subs came on instead, you know what I mean? So it's about getting a foothold in the game and getting a foothold in the season, and that's what they did for us, you know what I mean? So that could be done again in a tough game, and I don't see why not.
I agree. I mean, I don't think we have seen the end of that McFred and Mata and maybe even a Dan James. I don't think we have. I mean, you're right. You said it on the international break before last, and lo and behold, he did it for a couple of games. Worked against Newcastle, so it can work.
When we played Chelsea, Mark, everybody was throwing their arms up in the air, but we changed it against Arsenal and lost. I wish you'd have played it against Arsenal like you played it against Chelsea. Mata and James played against Chelsea.
This is going to be really interesting now, whether he goes back to that way of playing or he goes to this 4-2-3-1, which we know he all likes. What do you do with Paul Pogba? He likes McTominay. He loves Rashford. You can't play Rashford, Martial and Cavani, I don't think, because it's too, as you've said many times, Rick, they don't. The one thing about Rashford and Martial is that they don't really track back as much as a Dan James or a Mata would, regardless of whether people like them. Rashford used to track back a lot. He doesn't seem to do it as much anymore. So, he's going to have to balance things up, and I'm sure he'll play different ways. Actually, we'll talk about that. That's a good point. So PSG coming up on Wednesday night, Kev. Obviously, the Premier League's going well at the moment, and we need to keep winning against West Ham, and then we've got the City game. The path is clear in the Champions League. We've got to get a point out of the next 2. I think if we lose both, we're holding hands with Arsenal in the Emmerdale Cup on a Thursday night, which nobody wants. But it's not, PSG. It's always difficult when you only need pretty much a draw from 2, isn't it? Because if you lose to PSG, you've suddenly got a load of pressure going to Germany. And I don't know what the situation is, whether they've got fans there or not at the moment, but it's their ground. Got a few injury doubts maybe for PSG. Martial's ill, De Gea, Van der Beek's got a bad ankle. There's a few injuries there. How do you set up in a game like that where you know that you don't necessarily need to win? It can be quite dangerous. Do you think we'll see a back 5? Obviously, Twan Sebi can't play this time. How would you, I'm going to ask all 3, but how would you set up for this PSG game?
I think you can't be totally naive and go into it and think, let's just go out, attack. We'll try and play we don't even play like that, do we, anyway? But, you have to go in with a game plan. Man, we'd be absolutely daft to go out there and think that we're just going to go out and attack I think you need a game plan. You go out there, but the tricky thing is, like you say, in the back of your head, even as players, they'll know that if they can get a point from that game, it's very dangerous. The longer the game stays at let's say 0-0, they're very tricky games to play in, because the longer it stays like that, PSG will probably know that they really have to go for it then. To go through, to have a chance.
I think it's a must-win game for them, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, so it's quite a tricky one to play. I wouldn't like to see him go too defensive. Three at the back, five at the back, however you want to call it. I think it's all, again, it's about probably getting the midfield right. Definitely Matic would start for me. Watching him yesterday, breaking up play, just sitting in there. And then again, you've got the likes of Fred, McTominay. Fred's been absolutely brilliant recently. He's really gone up a level, really gone up a gear. He's getting to the point where he's almost unplayable. So I wouldn't be worried going in against them. I'd like to see what injuries we've got first before seeing, what pool of players really you've got to go and select from. But we've always got a goal in us. That second half yesterday proved it. Just got to have a bit more belief in that final third. I think we need certain players now to start contributing to goals. We can't rely on Fernandes all the time.
Yeah, it's interesting, Beth, when you look at it, we're on 9 points, PSG on 6, Leipzig are on 6. So if we drew with, you'd assume Leipzig will beat Istanbul, which would put them on 9 with 1 game to go. If we draw with PSG, we'd remain 3 points ahead of them, but they would win their last game probably. We might lose to Leipzig, but then we'd be level with PSG. God knows what they do. It might be rock, paper, scissors, but if it's head-to-head, we haven't lost to PSG, so I think we would go through. So really, PSG are going to come to win.
Yeah.
How would you set up? Would you go with the 4-2-3-1? Would you try, the 5-3-2, hit on the break? They've got fantastic players: Mbappe, Neymar, Verratti's fit again, Di Maria. They're a fantastic team. It's a really, really exciting but tough, and it is head-to-head, says George Kyle. So if we get a draw, PSG are screwed a bit, really. Knowing that PSG are going to go at us, do you think Ollie's temptation may be a little bit like Ricky's was alluding to there? There will be games where he just thinks, let's play a system, let's hit them on the break, because it's worked for him before, especially against the big teams.
It does scare me, like the likes of Mbappe and Neymar going at Maguire and Lindelof, I'm not going to lie, because last time we did have 2 Nzebi. So if I was Ollie, I would play 5 at the back, but the only thing that is a worry is the fact you'd have to put Bailly in there. And I think Bailly on his day could have a very good game. He's quick, but we've seen him have absolute shockers. We've seen him give away penalties, stupid red cards. That's the only thing that worries me about Bailly. But the team that I'd set up with, I'd go 3 at the back with Bailly, Lindelof and Maguire. And then the 5 in the middle, I'd have obviously Wan-Bissaka, Van der Beek, Bruno, Fred and Telles. And then I'd have 2 up front. I'd have Cavani and Martial, if Martial's fit, because I think Rashford needs a rest. Without a doubt, and I'd like to see Cavani and Martial play up front together. Cavani against his old club. I think if Martial's fit, then he's got to play. I think he can do damage on the break as well. He's very good at running at players, and I think that covers us at the back with them getting in behind. But it also gives us creativeness in the midfield with Bruno and Van der Beek, very smart players. Fred's energy, and then quality strikers up front. That's how I'd go about it. I wouldn't like to see 4 at the back, Lindelof and Maguire against a PSG team that are going to come at us that have the pace of Mbappe and Neymar.
No, I think it's going to be a really interesting game. And Ricky, with Beth talking about Eric Bailly there, he's not played. I think Ollie would love to play a back 5 in this game, and it would be it's how he can do. I mean, I don't obviously give us your thoughts on how you think he'll go about it, what you would do, but Luke Shaw's very unlikely to be able to play in this game, even if he's fit. Eric Bailly is only just back. Twansebi is suspended. How would you even, Telles has had a bit of a knock. Can he even construct a back 5? Would the back 5 be the way to go?
Could always drop McTominay in.
Yeah, could play McTominay in there. God, no.
Yeah, that's not a bad shout, that, Beth. He might. I mean, obviously, he must realise that McTominay's been doing that for Scotland and doing it very well.
But you know what? Lindelof, McTominay and Maguire is a back 3 against the pace of Neymar and Mbappe. Oh, tell you what.
Neymar skipped past McTominay last game.
Yeah. So you might have to do that, Ricky. So what are you thinking?
Well, now that you've put that in my mind, well, Beth put it in my mind, he might well try it, I think. He might well do. And I've never thought of it myself. Well done, Beth. But, it might be a bit risky, as you say. He's not played centre-back. I think he has done in emergency the odd time, Matt Tomini, but he's not a regular centre-back for United. Like you say, Shaw's not going to be ready. I don't think he'll want to risk Bailey playing there. Tuanzebe's suspended, isn't he, I think. I think he's more likely to go with a back four. And I hope he doesn't play a diamond. I mean, he could, but...
Could play the same team as Southampton. You never know.
I think. Look, even when you call it 4-2-3-1, to me it'll work out like 4-4-2. I think look in this game. He's bound to play. He's bound to play two of the three holding midfield players. Probably, if McTominay's fit, he might go back to McTominay and Fred. Although for me, Matic was the pick of the two on Sunday. Don't deserve dropping, but I think let's just say two of those three, whichever two he goes with. Two of those three have got to play. He's got to play two wide players, I think, that are going to stop them from getting round the back. Now, I think Anthony Martial does that job all right. And for me...
He might not be fit, though. He didn't train today again, so...
You're not trained. Well, he won't. Maybe he won't be then. Maybe he's got to trust Rashford to do that job on one side. And Matson or Dan James on the other side, possibly. He's done it against Chelsea. Why can't he do it against PSG? There's no reason why not. People might say, well, he's not going to do that against them. Chelsea's a right hard game. He played both Mata and Dan James against Chelsea. If he's not going to go with a back five, he's got to have two banks of four if he's not going to go with a back five. That's what I think. So whoever he picks, it's certainly the two holding midfield players, and then Bruno at 10 and Cavani at 9. And that'd leave Van der Beek out of the team.
Still play two holding midfield players, even if he plays back five.
Well, I've just said I don't think he's got the staff to play a back five, Beth. You know what I mean? So I'm saying if he plays a back four, he's got to play with two banks of four, in my opinion.
I think going into this game, and I'll just have a quick round robin of a score prediction, even though it's a couple of days before. I think we're in trouble in this game because I think the injuries that we've got are restricting the way I would like to see a 5-3-2 with Luke Shaw left-sided centre-back, Maguire, Lindelof, Wan-Bissaka, Telles. I probably would play Fred and Matic, and then that would leave me with 5-2. My maths are crap. I could play 3, couldn't I, then? And I'd play Cavani, and I'd play Rashford and maybe Van der Beek or however you construct that. But there's so many players that are going to be out for this game. Tuanzebe, Shaw. Lingard could be interesting. We don't talk about Lingard, but he's very, very energetic. Which way do you think it's going to go, Kev? Tough game.
Really tough. And I know you mentioned Telles. He come off at the weekend, didn't he? We don't know whether he's going to be fit. So you would assume that Brandon Williams comes in there. And what a huge game. He's got a bit of experience behind him, but to be going into a game like that, maybe we need to look at bringing back Phil Jones in, you know what I mean? And
he's until January, thank God.
Let him mark Mbappe. That'd be interesting.
He's on a
cruise.
Certainly
be going
he's
on
a Christmas cruise.
League. Yeah.
He can't play.
The floor against Mbappe.
Yeah, but it's a really dangerous game to go into. Like you mentioned earlier, when you only need a point and you've got that in your head, it really is. And you can't throw the kitchen sink at it. You can't go out and think, right, let's just go at them, because they'll just pick us off. They've got better individual players than us, let's say. So if anything, we need to be playing as a unit and playing as a team that evening. But the injuries are the thing that's worrying me now, and that's why I said I'd like to see the players we've got to sort of choose from first before you could really pick a team to go out against them. Yeah,
his press conference will be interesting tomorrow lunchtime. I think it's sort of 1:30, so we'll listen to that and see what he comes out with that, because I think this I think Ollie sort of deserves a bit of patience from the fans for this game, because they've got a strong team. We've got a lot of doubts, so it's difficult. And I agree with Kev. I think when you only need a point from 2 games, your expectation might, I think you can try and get a point and lose both games quite easily. George Kyle just said you've dropped Bruno in your team, which I can't believe you've done that. That's Ricky's fault. He's put Ricky on a show and I'm dropping Bruno. I'd never do it. I'm sorry, Bruno. I know he watches. Which way are you going to go, Beth, on Wednesday?
I'm positive for this game. I think we can get a result out of it. I think it will be one of them where I think personally, I think he might play a back five with Eric Bailly. I might be wrong in that because he did throw Tuanzebe in at the deep end last time and he does bring a bit of pace. So we'll see. But I think it'll be one of them where he tries to hold out for a 0-0, maybe until like half time. And then after that, we start going for it. But I do think it'll be the defend, hit on the break. The thing that's worked against PSG for us quite like twice now, we've played them like that and we've beat them. So I do think that's the way it'll go. I don't think he'll go out attacking at all, really. I think, especially seeing as he knows that we only need a point, I think it'll be defensive lineup. But if we can keep him out, I definitely think we can nick it like we did last time. I don't see why not. I think we were too scared last time going into that game. I don't think at the back they're as good as we make out. So I definitely think we can get something against them. Why not?
Ricky, are you confident?
Yeah, we're in a good vein of form, I think. But it's only saying in a good vein of form. It's only last week everybody was moaning about us struggling to beat West Brom 1-0 at Old Trafford. But certainly the run of results, confidence is up. He does seem to pull a rabbit out of a hat against these big teams. He's done it regularly, right throughout in being there. So I'm pretty confident we'll get the point we need on Wednesday night. Yeah.
That's a good comment from Sam, actually. Where is Agallo? He says he's at home knitting the Christmas jumpers for Mark. I mean, I don't know where he is. I tell you what, he's on bloody good money. He's on over 100 grand a week. He's the forgotten man, isn't he? He did do quite well when he started. I like Agallo. I think he's just a likeable guy, but there's a big difference between Agallo and Cavani. Even I can say that. It's a bit like a Ford Fiesta and a Ferrari in it. He's just nowhere near. He's not even with this injury crisis. I don't. Well, then again, with Martial out, he might make the bench, but he's gone in a month, isn't he? Cavani, really? Not Cavani.
Agallo.
Yeah. It is an interesting one. So Manchester United, whether people would agree with it or not, we'll talk about it. Man United have put out their player of the month for November, and there's 3 candidates, and it's Fred, Bruno, and Harry Maguire. Kev, are they the best 3 candidates, and which one would you go for?
I'm very surprised Harry Maguire makes that list, but saying that, he has been a bit better than what he was. But saying that, he was absolutely awful before that. He went through a very, very bad spell. Surprised he's made the cut. My choice, I would go for Fred. And that is nothing against Bruno Fernandes. I think he's just set such high standards. It's almost like you expect it from him every game now. Whereas Fred, I'm just seeing gradually, he's becoming the complete midfielder for me. He's absolutely bossing games, tenacious, up and down the pitch, breaks up play. Yes, yesterday he gave away that foul, which, if you were Solskjaer before the game, you'd be saying, do not give free kicks away on the edge of the box, which was ultimately what did us. But for me, I would give it Fred.
It's interesting, actually, because a few people are backing Maguire, and I was like, yeah, they're right. And then Patrick and a few have said Lindelof's been better than Maguire. I don't know why Lindelof's not been awarded it.
I think.
Anyway, Beth, your thoughts?
I'm not surprised to see Maguire in there because obviously they want to present that image of him, and I think he has been quite solid. He's been doing a lot better than he has been doing. I thought he played quite well yesterday, despite what some people were saying. But again, I completely agree with Kev on the Fred thing. I think he's absolutely upped his game to the next level. But I feel like playing with the players he's been playing with has helped him do that as well. But purely because he drags us back from losing positions. His mentality never fades. He scores crucial goals for us. He could have had about 4 assists if people would have just finished the chances yesterday. It's got to be Bruno for me. And I know he keeps doing it, and I keep thinking, is he going to keep doing it? But he's our best player, and he acts like our captain. And I just think he definitely is player of the month for me, with Fred close second. And Fred's also got that passion in him. I see it a lot now that Bruno has as well. And I think they're a very good partnership in there.
Just on that one from Ashley Larkham, I think Sarabia and Icardi are out for PSG. That's the only 2 I think are out. I think that Verratti is back, and I love Verratti, and he never really seems to play when we play them. So be interesting to see how our midfield does. So we've got two. I mean, she's so upset about Fred Maguire. I thought she'd legged it off. I thought she'd gone to throw up or something there. She's still there. So Fred, for you, or Bruno or Maguire, Ricky, are you happy with those three being in there, and which would you go for?
Yeah, for the player of the month, I think. Well, ever since the early start of the season against Spurs and Palace and what have you, I think Maguire's been all right since then.
He's very good against Everton, and that was this month, so you got to give him that.
But yeah, I think they're all reasonable candidates. But I think, you know, it's a funny one. I've said on here time and time again that I'm not interested in who scores the goals, and I honestly mean that. But when you've got a player who is scoring goals on a regular basis, when I say I'm not interested in who's scoring the goals, I'm talking about on a game-by-game basis. In any individual game, if we've got a game tomorrow, I want to win that game and I don't care who scores the goals. When you've got a player who is scoring goals on a regular basis, it's a bit hard. I mean, Bruno, how many goals has Bruno? He scored two against... Did he score two against Everton? Yeah, he scored two against Everton. He scored two against Besiktas here. Then he scored against West Brom, didn't he? He scored again yesterday. He's got 6 goals in the last 4 games. It's a great tally. If you had a striker who scored 6 goals for you in 4 games, I think you'd be saying you've got to give him player of the month. So when he's a midfield player, stroke number 10, I think you've got to give it Bruno, to be honest.
Well, we're level then, so we'll put it to the live comments, because I would definitely go with Bruno for this. I had that reason lined up. I think the amount of goals he's scored, and also that Istanbul goal was just unbelievable technique. I also thought the best thing Bruno did this month was almost put the ball. Well, I thought the ball was good. I thought Mata just didn't control it. It was unbelievable ball into Mata. And yesterday there was a ball that I think Bruno does things that, you know, people very easily pick up on the times he gives the ball away. There was a delightful ball first time, Van der Beek and Bruno combined. He hit it first time on the turn. Rashford ran through. Rashford didn't get his head up, and he could have just squared it and Cavani would have had a tap in, and it would have been a great goal. But Rashford needs to work on that. He went for the shot and it didn't happen, and it was a delightful ball by Bruno. So for me, I would go Bruno, but Fred's been brilliant. I thought Fred's second half yesterday, I couldn't believe what Roy Keane was on about. I thought
he was talking rubbish.
Yeah, it was interesting. I think it's always interesting.
He said that Fred's lazy.
What?
An energetic player. I was like, you're talking rubbish. Sometimes some of the things he says, like, I agree with, but sometimes he's just so overly critical on certain players, and I just didn't like what he was saying then, especially when how hard he works for the team.
I think ex-players are some. I've met some of them as well, and these are legends or greats of our club. I think there's a lot of bitterness because they're not playing anymore, and I think they just have players that they like and players that they don't like, and I love Roy Keane, but I'll never forget him saying that tackle on Luke Shaw was a good tackle when it nearly broke his leg. I was like, fuck, what are you on about? You know, fair tackle, you know. Well, you're joking. You're joking.
Roy Keane would tell you that he went for the ball when he went in on Alfie and Haaland. He'd say he won the ball as well.
Fantastic. Legend. My favourite player of my lifetime, Roy Keane. But I always say it, just because they were a legend on the pitch or a great, I don't have to listen to everything they say. And I certainly don't think everything that comes out of their mouth is good. I thought Fred, second half yesterday, I think he was involved in nearly every goal as well. Fantastic.
He's pressing like he's like a bit, obviously not as good, but he's a bit Kante-esque in the way he just swarms like a player and just gets in between the feet. He's so good at that and pressing it and passing it off. And obviously I'm not saying Bruno has made him do this, but Bruno, was it in the podcast you were saying, sometimes I think I say to Fred, just do what the simple ball, or he's saying play that pass. And I have noticed his passing has got, just in the last few games, a lot better. It's still not perfect, but I remember when I was seeing him just completely just pass it out of the pitch, completely off passes, and he was playing some really great forward passes yesterday. He's really, really improving his game, and I think his confidence as well is helping him take it to the next level. And he's pushed his way into that team and made himself, in a way, a bit undroppable, and that's what everyone else needs to do. And I think Donny's starting to do that, and I think it's really good for our midfield.
And to be fair, Gary's right there. If Roy Keane said that the tackle was lazy, which led to the foul, I've got to say, before the game, I said we cannot give silly tackles around the edge of the box with Ward-Prowse. And I watched it on. I mean, you don't really notice things live, but when I saw it on Match of the Day yesterday, he didn't need to make that tackle. Wan-Bissaka was in front of him. He makes the tackle on the edge of the box, and I know people. I don't know what everyone's thought was on the free kick. I saw a lot of people going in on De Gea, and I'm like, I've played football, and that free kick, I think De Gea almost got criticised because he got too close to it, but it's not on his side. The wall, it's on the wall side, so it's right inside the free kick. It's right inside the post.
Get a hand to it.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, Ricky, do you disagree, Ricky? You think you should have saved it?
I don't think he had a chance of doing that.
So it was a brilliant. And also, me and Flex were, when we did the trials for the football team, we at the end, we stayed for half an hour and I said, I'll go and goal. You won't score a free kick past me. And he was hitting him from about there and I didn't save any. It's like the goal is pretty big. And if you hit it right, you're going to score. Well, these are bloody professional footballers who practice that non-stop. He's on the edge of the box. He gets it over the wall, inside the post. And you got people who probably couldn't, save a bloody Word document saying, oh, I should have saved that. And I'm like, it's literally right in between the post and it's not on his side of the goal. I thought it was a world-class free kick, really did. And it's not the first time. I was at Old Trafford when he did it about 18 months ago. He's a very good player at that, Ward-Prowse. But a little bit of fun towards the end of the show then. This is going to be interesting. People can clip this if they want. I just want to ask a question of all our guests, and you can get involved in the live comments. We'll start off with you on this one, Beth. Who's going to win? Who's going to be Manchester United's top goal scorer this season? And we are going to clip it because, certain players might get injured, dropped, whatever. So, there's a few, and also it might not be a striker. It could be somebody else. So it could be Phil Jones. Who knows? He might have a bloody worldie after Christmas. But who is going to win Manchester United's top goal scorer this season?
I genuinely think, I think it's a tough one between, I think Rashford's got a shout purely because he's going to play 90 minutes like every game. Solskjaer loves him. But I think it's going to be Bruno, through his penalties and for the fact he's got a good head start already. And every game, even if he's having a bad game, he just looks like he's going to score or do something. He manages to get goals out of anything really. So I'm going to go Bruno.
I'm just going to have a quick look so Bruno's got 10 at the moment. Rashford's got 8.
Especially because he's going to be switching that the striking for quite a lot, whereas Bruno's always going to play. Yeah. If that falls number 9 sometimes as well. He gets
league goals. Or just overall?
No, we'll do the whole lot, yeah. Right. We'll do the whole lot. So at the moment, I should have said this. We might change your mind on this, Beth, so I'll be fair. Bruno's got 10, Rashford's got 8, Cavani's got 3, Martial's got 2, Greenwood's got 2. So who do you think? Mata's got 2 as well.
I'm still going to go with Bruno. It's between Rashford and Bruno for me, but I still think Bruno will probably score the most goals due to penalties and the fact he's going to be playing in that central role each time, as long as he doesn't get injured, which I pray he doesn't.
I'll tell you what, Ricky, just to make you even more happier before I ask this, shot accuracy, as I said, Bruno's got 67%. Who's got 100% at the moment? Juan Mata, 100% shot accuracy. There you go. So
more than.
Well, I'm not the manager. Who's going to be our top scorer then, Ricky?
I'd say Bruno.
Yeah.
We get. I can't see it changing really the way we're playing. We get that many penalties, and he takes virtually every penalty. I know he gives the odd one away. He might. Last season we got 23 penalties, didn't we? Was it 23?
Well, yeah, that sounds a lot. I don't know. There was a lot.
I think it was 23.
I think the most that any team's had in a season or something. But yeah, we got a lot of penalties, and he's going to start taking some away, isn't he?
If one player would have took all our penalties and scored them all last season, he would have been top scorer without scoring another goal. It's true. It's true because
Bruno wasn't here till Jan.
Well, I know Bruno wasn't here till Jan. I was seeing if anybody else would have done, because I think Rashford got 23, and I think Martial got 23. That's right, isn't it? Didn't he get 17 each in the league and 23 each overall?
Yeah.
penalties were all shared around, and Martial got 1 penalty, and Rashford got 2 or 3 penalties. So if one person would have took them all, they'd have had less than 23, and the penalty taker would have had 23. You know what I mean? So
apparently we had 14 last year, says Tonya. So we've got Bruno from Beth. Kev, it's you. I'm just going to add in another stat here as well. When it comes to goal conversion, so this is like how many chances? 43%. Cavani's the highest. Bruno's 29%. Rashford's 32%. Martial is 25%. So, who's going to be our top scorer this year?
I will go Rashford. I would love to go with Bruno, but I just want to say something a bit different. If it was the start of the season and we were starting from nobody scored, I think I would have actually gone with Martial. And obviously, Beth and Ricky have gone with, Bruno, which is sound enough. My surname's Ashford. Put an R on it. You've got Rashford. That's what I'm going for.
There you go.
Yeah.
So we've got Rashford, Bruno. I'm going to go with could be Harry Maguire if he started heading the ball properly. I'm going to go. I don't want to go with Bruno or Rashford. I want to be different. I'd love to go with Cavani. I really would, because I think he's got the best conversion rate. I think he's the best goal scorer, but I'm absolutely convinced he's going to get injured at some point. And I touch wood, don't want it to happen, but he's already playing catch up, and I think he'll get injured. So Martial, I think, is too far behind already. So I think, I have to go Bruno. I'll tip it to Bruno. I think the thing about Bruno is, I've always said I love Bruno. I said we needed to get Bruno for a long time, but he's a stat padder. Even when he doesn't play well, he'll get a goal or an assist or something. So I don't think that's going to stop with Bruno. So I think it will be Bruno.
I wonder how many Josh King would have got for us.
Oh, you don't need to mention that. Bloody hell. You have to mention that. What's Josh King got to do this show? I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, I was very angry in my defence. It was at the end of the transfer window, and I was very angry. But great show. Really enjoyed it. Thanks all for coming on. Thanks, Kev.
Thanks very much for having me as usual. Enjoyed it.
So I think we'll be back on Sunday, won't we? Because I think we're playing West Ham Saturday night, are we?
Yeah.
5:30, innit? Yeah, Saturday.
Great. Okay. Thanks for coming on, Beth. Your last show. Thanks for that.
Yeah. Sorry, mate. I thought I'd sign it off with a good one.
And thanks for coming on, Ricky.
Thanks a lot, mate.
And of course, thanks to everyone in the live comments. Please smash a like on the video. And we've got the Ollie's press conference tomorrow. We'll talk about that, preview, and then another big game on Wednesday. So thanks everyone for watching. Exciting times, good conversation. Nice not to be talking about who we should drop and how long Ollie's going to last. Just nice to talk about nice things. That's what it should be all about. So thanks to the guests. Thanks to the mods. Thanks to everyone watching. And we'll speak to you on the next one.